Here we go. All right, tonight we are talking about the Enneagram 4, and I am so excited because the Enneagram 4 is special to me for two reasons. One, because my mom, who is right here on my screen, is an Enneagram 4, and my sister-in-law, Natalie, is an Enneagram 4, so I have two 4s that are like literally my best friends. And what's so interesting about this is I'm a wing 4. So if you don't remember, your primary number right directly to the side of that is one that's typically stronger, and that's called your wing. So I want to address a few things really quickly before we dive in tonight, and that is one, and I'm seeing a question in the comments too, where is a good place to take this Enneagram test? Full transparency, I don't think there's a test that is reliable. I think that it's trial and error. I think that it's looking on Instagram at memes. I think it's understanding what's the motivation, what's the fears behind the numbers, and kind of identifying, listening to podcasts. And my hope is that through these calls, you'll like have one number where you're like, oh my gosh, that is absolutely me. And so it's kind of a discovery. For some people, it's very clear, but I do think that 4s, 2s, and 9s are the most common that are like, I don't know what I am. So if you feel that way, maybe just, I don't know, 4s, 2s, and 9s. All right, so we're going to start off talking about Enneagram 4s, and I am going to get us started, and then I'm going to pass it to my mama, and she made me a nice little doc to follow here, so I'm going to pull that up. While I'm pulling that up, maybe you can chime in the comments and talk about what is the best thing that's happened for you this week. Great, sorry, it's just going to take me a second to get this on. New tab. Let's figure out what it is. Okay, here we go. Reading through core fears. I love that. I love that, Ida. All right, so Enneagram 4 is known as the romantic, the individualist, the dreamer. Famous Enneagram 4s that you might know of, Vincent van Gogh, Patsy Cline, Johnny Depp, those are all Enneagram 4s. And their unconscious fear the unconscious fear of a type 4 is having no permanent sense of self, no identity, no personal significance. The unconscious desire for a type 4 is to find out who they are and then be themselves. Healthy 4s are highly intuitive, introspective, and self-aware. They're also compassionate and tender-hearted. They treat others with kindness, gentleness, and discretion. They are in touch with the hidden depths of human nature and, while sensitive, have great emotional strength and resilience. Healthy 4s are in tune with their feelings and the peaks and valleys of their inner world. They can be extremely eloquent and self-revealing, although it's not always about the good going on in their life. Healthy 4s, more than any other type, want to talk about what's really going on inside of them, whether good or bad, happy or sad. That's because their self-esteem is high enough to be emotionally honest and speak authentically from their heart. They're often able to articulate what others have thought or felt but couldn't quite put it into words. Healthy 4s are individualistic and don't cave in to peer pressure when their intuition is warning them not to. They strive to be true to themselves always. They enjoy using their subtle sensitivity and heightened self-awareness to express universal truths about the human condition. Healthy 4s tend to have a highly unique, ironic view of themselves and life. They can find humor in their own quirks, contradictions, idiosyncrasies, as well as in others, and they don't take themselves too seriously. Healthy 4s are creative, and really appreciate beauty in all forms. Their creativity tends to have an exquisitely distinct personal flavor to it. It often expresses what they're feeling inside, so it can portray anything from the depths of despair to the heights of ecstasy. Whatever it is, healthy 4s want to touch others deeply and are aware of how aesthetics, mood, and form impact people's feelings. Healthy 4s are passionate people who trust their inner impulses, inspirations, and hunches. So when an Enneagram 4 is moving in the way of strength or health, they're going to look like the healthy side of an Enneagram 1. So integration, where they're healthy, very healthy 4s have emotional balance. They live in complete harmony with their environment. They're aware of the hidden forces and laws of spirit governing the universe and have learned how to live in the moment in alignment with their deepest values. No matter what happens to them, very healthy 4s know that it is for their highest good. They are able to turn their most bitter and painful experiences into sweet wine, which they serve to others through their peaceful acceptance of what is. They express themselves in personal ways that touch upon deeper, fundamental, universal truths. They are inspiring and inspired. When they're moving in the way of disintegration, which is stress, then they are unhealthy, and unhealthy 4s can be completely impractical, unproductive, and less able to cope with normal daily living. They become self-indulgent, self-pitying, melancholic dreamers. They feel as though nobody understands them and people often let them down. They feel so different from others that they consider themselves exempt from having to follow the rules and protocols that most people choose to live by. They tend to do whatever they damn well please. I don't know where this came from. I'm reading it. My mom gave it to me to set her up. I probably should, it's fine. They, to their own detriment, of course, they can live in their own illusionary fantasy world with intense longings for love. Unhealthy 4s can be dramatic, tragic romantics. When others fail to live up to their unrealistic expectations, they can become critical, disdainful, contemptuous, and condescending. They tend to avoid people and find it extremely difficult to keep a schedule, promises, or even to show up for appointments on time, if at all. They can't stand any kind of pressure whatsoever. Unhealthy 4s are highly temperamental, depressive, and can feel completely estranged from others. So type 4s value originality and beauty and envision a world affected by their personal touch. Their strengths are that they are compassionate, idealistic, they have extreme emotional depth. Problems can be that they're moody, withdrawn, uncooperative. A lower emotional habitat, there can be envy arising from an experience of disappointment or deficiency. A higher emotion habit or habitat, either way, actually means they keep their heart open and they welcome all feelings while staying in balance. So I hope that wasn't too boring to listen to me read that, but I think it's really cool to just give an overview of like what exactly is a 4, and maybe you can identify with it. So now we're going to hear from, that's crazy. Hannah has 3 siblings who are 4s. Now we're going to hear from an actual 4, and you'll get so much from this. I'm excited because I've seen my mom mistyped as a 2. She would have, had the Enneagram been around when we were kids, she would have thought she was a 2, because that's what 4s and a lot of numbers when you're a mom or in a servant role, you can kind of end up there. But now she's really stepped into her true self, and it's totally apparent that she is all things great about the 4. And actually, she's going to talk about that. But I was like, hey, Mom, it's kind of weird because I feel like I've never seen you be like moody or like, I mean, definitely moody, but not like you don't sit in self-pity. And so she has some really interesting points on this. So without further ado, Mom, go for it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for going through those, Bethany. It's cool to step back and hear somebody say it as a 4, kind of listening through that filter. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle to find if you're a 4, because you'll notice that those strengths and those weaknesses were so almost seemingly opposite. Because with the highest heights of exuberance and excitement and seeing beauty and everything, with that same propensity to that exact height can be that exact depth if not governed, or shall we say boundaried. Almost like there's something else you kind of have to tap into. We're going to talk about that in a second, but there's something that can help 4s kind of stay okay with feeling all the feels without sabotaging their life. And I will just say personally, that is the big aha moment, growth point that I think every 4 is longing for, looking for. And it's kind of funny because part of the Enneagram 4 is constantly thinking there's something out there, there's the next step, there's something I'm missing out on. Is if I could just get to XYZ, if I could just, then I'll feel accepted, then I'll feel I belong. And so 4s really want to feel, part of the way they feel appreciated and included is by being a little different. And so it can kind of be counterintuitive, because you're looking for the differences, which can make you feel isolated, but you're also looking for the differences which can make you feel worthy. So there are 2 kind of trains that left the station, and you're kind of trying to make them work. But I came across this funny list. It's all the drinks. If you were which Enneagram, what drink would you be if you were a drink? And I thought it was just hysterical, because you've got the 1 is an iced coffee, straightforward to the point. You've got 2, pink lemonade, sweet fun. You've got the 3, which is like this bang energy drink, keeping up the energy to do the grind, do the do. And then 4, you've got the lavender latte, right? It's got to be a little bit different, rare, acquired taste. You kind of have to be a little off the beaten path. Number 5 is the black coffee classic. Number 6 is emergency, prepared, useful, always there to help. 7 is Gatorade, fun, yummy, high energy. 8 is the Diet Coke, needs coffee every day. Who needs coffee every day? Who needs coffee every day when you have Diet Coke, right? Super practical. And then 9 is the red wine, just a glass of relaxation. That's all. Anyway, I thought that was really cute, and it kind of helped if you could kind of take a visual like that when you're talking to people, and you can say, oh yeah, they're the energy drink. Okay, that it kind of helps you put it with the 3 or the 4. But so there are some tips in relating with 4s, and I have my notes here, so I'm going to kind of just glance that way just so you know. But to create rapport with a 4, you want to appreciate their sensitivity. Instead of making light of it or making fun of it, you could appreciate it and value it for what it brings. Compliment and respect the intuition. That is really huge for a 4 to just blossom, is to feel appreciated in that. You're also going to avoid insisting on them being logical. There's no worse thing that you could say in a conversation than get your head out of the clouds, get logical, to a 4, because you just like stripped open her heart, right, and stomped on the ground. It feels, and I'm using that word, it's like, it just like so legit. It feels harsh and it feels cold. And so if you could have them feel the feels while you integrate the logic, that would be great. That would be a way to work with a 4. You're also going to want to join them. 4s have to be super committed to strategic time, sensitivity, structure. They have to kind of weigh in to do that, because left to their own devices, they're just going to feel the depths of the high, feel the depths of the low, not having structure, because the focus is like that feeling is so important. So in the same way that 4s have to structure, it's great if other Enneagrams that don't have that propensity could enter into the 4's feeling. So you could give in that way while a 4 is giving in the way of structure, and it makes this perfect marriage. I know this just because I'm married to a 1, and being married to a 1 means that we could bring to each other. He could bring the structure. I could literally check in with the system, stay with the system. It doesn't matter what my day is like, up or down, melancholy, happy. If I have the system and I've adhered, I've decided to hitch my wagon to that, it's almost like it's the stability for me to get done what I want to get done and to accomplish my goals. We're going to talk about that in a second. But the other thing you can do is, in conflict, you can help them not to withdraw. So a 4 will either withdraw and be head in the sand, I can't go there, or fiery. And a lot of times you're growing up, the way you're raised can kind of really influence this. And if you just consistently shut down when you're not understood, obviously that's hard on communications, it's hard on relationships, as is fiery. So we're looking for a balanced way that a 4 can feel. And if they're being heard, if they feel being heard, it helps to keep in the conversation at a really positive way. to support growth in a 4, you're going to be the one to constantly remind them of their value. They are valuable. It doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter what they're bringing to the table. They have intrinsic value. That is hard for a 4. 4s, and Bethany mentioned it, but growing up, and even as a young adult, I literally 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 helper, because that was kind of the way I had value. That was kind of the way I felt, that I had value. And you gotta kind of fight for your place in authenticity with a 4, because there's this really disparaging gap between what you have let yourself become and be versus what you actually are. And if you're not living into what you actually are, the 4s are not going to be okay with that. Like long term, it's just going to dig in your soul, eat at your heart. I don't know how you want to say it, but it gets to you. It eats at the core, and you'll find there's like these moments, aha moments of authenticity, that you have to move in that direction, or you feel so stifled, you feel like you can't breathe. I will just surmise this, and I didn't read this anywhere, but I think personally on the health front, that has been part of the challenge for me, is that my not living as authentically as I actually was, but living into what someone wanted me to be, or how I felt I got value from, family, friendships, that kind of thing. That leaves that disparaging gap. And I think your body rebels. It's like, you kind of want to rebel, but you keep it down because you're trying to make peace. And so if you can kind of hold on to the fact that those growing pains are worth it, authenticity is worth it. And then, of course, Young Living is a great career path for 4s, because you can feel the feels and not be ostracized or demeaned for it. And so it has this creativity element. I was talking today about using the diffuser is creative. You can try new things. You can really ignite that part of the brain that is trying to put some things together in a creative way. And for 4s, that's really, really important. Most will find themselves artists, creative in some element, writer. Words are super important. Universal truth, seeing nature, seeing beauty, and that's really, really a gift that you can bring if you can temper the low points. Like when the leaves start to turn and it starts to become fall. This season, coming into fall, I deal with melancholy, and I used to try to shove that down because that wasn't it wasn't okay. It wasn't okay with me in how I grew up, and how I perceived I was accepted. So now I'm walking into sitting with pain and not being demeaned for that, feeling it fully while keeping boundaries to keep myself safe. And so things that you can do for a 4 to help them grow themselves is, we talked a little bit about this, but notice when, for a 4, if you're a 4 in here, you got to notice when you start pining for the things that you longed for, that you miss. I'm not talking about dreaming, because there are obvious things that we maybe not are experiencing in this moment that we want to achieve. This is different. This is when you are like, you're in your mind about what you don't have. And that can be a very romanticized view, and it can lead you to a very unproductive way of living. And so that's number 1. Number 2, you're going to maintain consistent course of action steps for yourself. Like I said, adhere to the structure for the sake of your vision. So, 4s will tell you all day long they're going to be a Royal Crown Diamond. But when they get into the lowest of lows, that's their reason. They just can't get out of the doldrums. They can't get out. And I say that loosely. Of course we can. We obviously can, but it's growth that takes us into being able to feel all those feelings of melancholy or dissatisfaction or disbelief or I'm not enough, because a lot of 4s deal with self-confidence issues. And if you are a 4 with a wing 3, it's going to be a little easier for you to get through that, because your focus and your goal to get to your goal is really going to be strong. And you can use the complements of the 4 and the 3, the feeling of the 4 complementing the 3 drivenness, and you can really make some strides. On the other side, if you're a 4 with a 5 wing, this really low is one that you have to really put strong parameters around, because they're very analytical, that analytical of the 5 with that feeling of the 4, man, woo, that can take you to some low places. and cynical places. And so those would be the guardrails for the wings, so to speak. All right. So number 3, you want to participate in body grounding exercises for a 4. That's really important because, again, those swinging emotions are really something. Let me make sure I'm going to keep my time. Okay, good. Because I want, if Alyssa's in here, I want her to just give us a little share at the end. So you're going to participate in body exercises. You're going to remind yourself that feelings of abandonment are normal for a 4. Feelings of abandonment, rejection, insignificance. That's why you're kind of leaning towards significance with outer, like what you see, your uniqueness. But the cool thing is that even those childhood things that kind of come through your mind, you can let them go. You can let them go. You can grow to a person who is fully alive and present, that you are enough, which is so cool to me. That is, it's rewarding to feel that growth, especially when you have all those feelings. You still have the days where you feel that the melancholy dips, but you're able to, again, use those guardrails of the structure that you've decided based on your values, your goals, your dreams. You're important enough. You have enough. You are enough to do this. And so that truth can really be powerful, that you are loved and that you are completely whole right now. No, there's nothing unique that has to do, you don't have to do anything else to be and have this intrinsic value. And I was telling Bethany earlier, like, even aging is a little bit more difficult for a 4 because that external visual aesthetic, even what you see from without, but also what you see in the mirror, that's how you felt okay, you know. That can be hard when you're aging, going through changes, because all of a sudden what you have always clung to for your value is no longer present, you know. And I'm not saying, you know what I'm trying to say, it's just that's the struggle. So if you can focus your attention to learning to value the ordinary things of life, let everything be a beautiful something for you to acknowledge. You're gonna just bring that 4, elevate that 4 to a constant state of up instead of the doldrums of the down. It's not that you don't feel with people, but you have enough self-preservation and enough self-worth that you have a boundary, you have a floor level that you won't go past. You can learn that. You can learn that. You can learn to sit with people in pain, be with them fully, feel the feels without sabotaging and saying, hey, take whatever you want. Take it. And that will, obviously the 2s deal with that a lot. So we can learn from the 2s. So the biggest moment for a 4 is this, the big aha moment for a 4. And if you didn't write anything else down tonight, write this down. The big aha moment for a 4 is when you can focus so genuinely on somebody else and connecting with them that you're no longer needing to feel different to be accepted. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. You are so focused on connecting with someone else that you no longer need to feel different, unique, special to be accepted. That changes everything about your business, how you work your business, who you talk to, why you talk to them. And so a few oils that I want you to grab as the Enneagram 4 is frankincense, Palo Santo, orange, citrus fresh. You want to keep those grounding oils and those uplifting oils very present. Also, believe it or not, Melissa was listed in the one that I saw, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I use Melissa for the antiviral situation, or the antiviral properties that are read on PubMed. And so I use that internally and topically, and I think, wow, isn't that cool? I'm a 4, and Melissa is one that helps with mood. So if we are still, I don't know if Alyssa is here, but I was so excited that she had about 5 minutes to share with us some practical things as a 4, what's helped her in this business. Are you here, Alyssa?
Yeah, I'm here. And I'm kind of like, Thank Alyssa. Thanks. That was all so good. Something I just want to touch on real quick. And I'm a 4 wing 3. So something that I'm learning about myself, and again, I want to dig into the Enneagrams more. But something I'm learning is that, you know, I act out a feeling every single day. I'm like, ooh, I feel like being creative. We are dreamers. We are visionaries. We get excited about creating our vision boards. And, you know, like Sonia said, we'll say, oh, I'm going to be Royal Crown Diamond all day long. We don't have any issues. dreaming big. I feel like, at least I don't. What I can lose attention of is my vision for that specific day. And like, I'll have the long term, but the vision for the day is super important, because I kind of go off in the dream world quite a bit. I don't have issues there. Me and my husband are completely different in that area. He's like, well, you have all these big dreams. And I love that I can add that to his lifestyle, as far as like teaching him how to dream big and stuff, but being very grounded in the moment and grounded in the day, and saying, today I want to show up this way, will help me with consistency, and staying committed to the everyday and the checklist. And so if you can, like Sonia was saying and Bethany was saying, we are healthiest when we're connected with kind of like the one personality. And so if you can find a way to have structure, like for me, I love my checklist, because I will sit there all day and think about the fact of like, I hope I'm not cutting out, you guys, sorry. I will sit here and think all day about like, which color keychain do I want to send out in the mail to this person, and overthink these little things. And I get decision fatigue all the time because I'm so much on the feeling side. And so if I can set structure for my day beforehand, and then it leaves room for me to be dreamy and creative, but with the structure. And so another I was going to say is sitting in your emotions. One thing you can do for a 4 on your team, I just watched a Brendan Burchard video, and it was all about connecting with your feelings and feeling them, but then and allowing yourself to feel every bit of it, because we're really good about that. We will go there and we will sit in it and we'll feel it, but how to work through it, and on the other side can sometimes be a struggle. So having them, you know, if you have a 4 in your team that you feel like is maybe getting really down on themselves or whatever, sending them something to kind of help them work through that. I don't know. I hope that's helpful in some way. All right, Natalie, you're up.
That was awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for doing that. And yeah, that was like such good insight too. I love that, like not just to sit in it, but to learn to work through it. Oh, that was so fun. All right, you guys, thanks for hopping on here on a holiday. I know it's like not, so we want to, you know, sometimes there's other options and things to do. So the fact that you're here means a lot. And for those catching the replay, thanks for spending your time to watch the replay. I hope it was valuable. And I think just, you know, even if you're not a 4, or like, you know, this is a 9-week series of all the different numbers. I think it's so valuable, even if it's not our number, because it's like we can learn how to best support our team. And at some point you will have every number in your team. And so just to be able to have that connection of like, oh yeah, like Alyssa said, oh, one thing we can help them with is providing structure, like help a 4 with is providing structure. That's something that might be so easy for you. If you're a 1 or 8 or 3, you're like, oh, that's the easy part. For me, it's like hard to remember my big dreams. So just being able to recognize what they need, and then also just what they're good at and giving them platform. I was just thinking about how fun it would be if the 4s on our team, like Mom, like Sonia, Alyssa, Natalie, whoever else, if they ran a vision board party. Like how fun would that be and fulfilling for them, because that's their natural habitat. So, all right, friends, we will see you back here in 15 minutes for brain class. Bye.